afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's session on regeneration and responsible business. If you have been following us on Yammer, you would know that this is the second in a series of sessions that we are doing as part of our campaign CSR Reimagined. My name is Pallavi, and I'm part of the corporate social responsibility function based out of Mumbai. CSR Reimagined is our month-long campaign to inform, engage, sensitize, and involve all internal and external stakeholders on the revised CSR vision, mission, and strategy that was recently approved by our board. Global, national, organizational, and local changes also, prompted us to rethink our CSR approach and ambitions and way of working. If you look at our new vision and mission, new vision is basically creating connected societies to advance the well-being of the people and planet. And in our mission, we also speak about the concerns of people and planet in the areas of health, education, sustainable livelihoods, and environment. Also, these new mission and vision takes cue from Tata Communications Reimagined strategy that puts emphasis on sustainability and on the planet. The new strategy, if you look at it, you will see several layers of several circles, several layers there. And so while we were revising the strategy, we looked at various national, international discourses and school of thoughts on sustainability, on economics, not to mention Tata Group and organizational policies and frameworks. The community, as you see, is at the core, the center of everything that we do, and recognizing its interconnectedness with natural environment. We have four priority areas, which are education, sustainable livelihoods, healthcare, and environment. The new strategy also includes four cornerstones, which basically are women centricity, digital enablement, affirmative action, and employee volunteering. At Tata Communications, we are committed to conducting our activities in a manner which is rooted in ethics, promotes well being, imparts resilience, and supports regeneration. These are actually the four values that we adopted in the new strategy and would like to propagate through our work. Regeneration being one of the values that we have adopted this year within our strategy. When you speak about regeneration in the context of sustainability, it is often synonymous with restore or to repair. If we bring that to the business context, a regenerative company or an organization not only does not ruin natural resources and ecosystems, but also contributes to the sustenance of the environment. It acknowledges its place in the entire system and uses the knowledge of interdependence in the strategic decision making. The mindset to become more attuned to spaces in which they function, businesses can cultivate growth in all levels of operation, whether it is corporate, social, or environment. Doing less harm is no longer enough. The future of sustainability is regeneration, where we are replenishing and restoring and what we have lost and building economies and communities that thrive while allowing the planet to thrive too. Today's speaker will be sharing more insights on regeneration in the context of business, integration of regeneration into organizational strategy, and methods to operationalize it. I am pleased to welcome Alka Talwar, Chief CSR and Sustainability Officer, Tata Chemicals. To give a very brief introduction to Alka, she's an architect by education and a certified achievement motivation training. She has been with Tata Chemicals for more than 30 years and manages all sustainability initiatives and disclosures for the company, promoting responsible manufacturing across geographies and the value chain. While Alka has worked extensively on both environment and social aspects, programs that require special mention are the nature conservation programs that include whale, shark, and turtle conservation, eco-restoration of coral reefs, and women's empowerment through OKAI, the Center for Empowerment, which provides sustainable livelihoods to women artisans. Alka has recently helped set up a Center of Excellence for Coastal and Marine Biodiversity Conservation and Courage Social Enterprise Foundation, NSEF, that will build and promote social businesses to address various development challenges and sustainable development goals. Alka also dabbles in a bit of photography and is a keen naturalist, enjoying both nature and the outdoors. Welcome, Alka, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Pallavi. Thanks for inviting me to this program. I will try my best to talk about regenerative CSR. But what I've done is I've just put things which I thought were innovative and could be part of how you reimagine CSR, and I try to showcase all of that in my presentation today. I'm going to play back to you, to Tata Communication, your own definition of what is regenerative and responsible business. Regeneration, like Pallavi mentioned, it's about renewing existence. It's about enlightened, disruptive innovation. And regenerative business, it's like an ecosystem approach. It's when you look at a complete ecosystem instead of looking at one thing in a silo, and thereby acknowledging your value chain, the community, the industry, and its resources together. Along with regenerative was the whole concept of responsible business, and today I think this is best described by ESG. It's a hot topic currently, and where everybody is talking about ESG rating, ESG marking of people. Basically, according to me, it's about fulfilling the changing stakeholder expectations, and that is the center of being a responsible business. And for reimagining and working or looking at how you address your CSR effort. So it's about long-term sustainability and sustainable development. It's not something that you would look at quarter to quarter, but it's how you work, like I mentioned, in the ecosystem in a long-term kind of an approach. This is what I sort of gathered from what brief discussion I had, and this is the concept that I would like to take forward and talk about the various programs, and also showcase one program in a little more detail about how various ecosystems and community were involved in actually implementing the program. Can I move to the next slide, please? And the next is how this has been something that I've written extensively about embedding and operationalizing sustainability. And according to me, I think it's about four things, and I call it lead in sustainability, lead in business and human rights, lead in affirmative action. It's basically about leadership, about putting the boundaries, the policies, the guidelines, the governance, the review. It's about the ecosystem. It's, how do you make it part of what we do, the way of doing business, and that is how do you create that ecosystem within the organization. Then, of course, there is a whole lot of communication and training. So it's not only about awareness, sensitivity of the people who work on CSR, but also like what you're doing currently, building a whole lot of awareness and communication about what you imagine CSR to be. And of course, the last thing, which is the data, the KPIs, the nitty-gritty of doing things, of reviewing and tracking to see, am I making an impact? Will it be long term? Will it be short term? When I leave, will it disappear, or will it continue to help the communities be sustainable in the long term? So I thought I'll share this a little bit with you. Moving on, I just want to focus on what we have established for ourselves, like a CSR vision. And our vision is development that enables two things: sustainability and community empowerment. And rightly said, you said, like Pallavi had mentioned in the beginning, when we are talking about the whole ecosystem, the value chain approach. So these two things are extremely important when we look at taking CSR forward. Taking this CSR vision to the next step, what we in Tata Chemicals have done, we've identified, we had written out the community development policy in the year 2000, and we've added points to it going forward as we sort of matured in the work that we did, and how we progressed. And we've finalized like 6 guiding principles to help us in taking forward what we do in CSR. Of course, all of these 6 points embody sustainability and community empowerment. The first one is, of course, that when we design our program, we must look at sustainable, scalable, replicable development models. It is not just the fact that I'm working in the community and doing some activity or a program, but what I'm doing is creating development models, and that is the focus that we should have. And we promote a true spirit of participatory development. I am not the my bop. I'm not coming down there and doing something for the community, but it's a participatory approach. It is a partnership approach with the community, and that's really an important guiding principle for us. Of course, important part of governance is transparency and equal opportunities. There are so many vested interests. As we go and do CSR, or we take it to the ground, there's so many vested interests. And how do we continue to focus on equal opportunity or equity to see that people benefit maximum? And the fourth thing that I'd like to show or talk about is partnering and networking. It's really clear that we cannot do all of this ourselves, and it's very, very important to reach out to like-minded partners and networks, so that together we can visualize what the impact should be. We bring our whole expertise on the table, our mission on the table, and together achieve the sustainable development goals. So this is a very, very important part of the work we do. We have hundreds of partners in many of our projects. Some of them have been our partners for years and years, and we've been working with them over 15, 20 years. The next thing we have identified is that what we learn, we must make it into a knowledge resource center and help build capacities with it. And this is something that we actively pursue. We get others to talk about what they are doing, and so do we. Make the development models and share it with people so that they can be a part and parcel of the work we do. And of course, the sixth one is providing and facilitating volunteering opportunities for everybody, for people in the community, so we can have community teachers or people, our employees, their families, and everyone. So, if I may say so, this six elements have been very key to all the things that we do. However, what we've also done is we've kind of linked all the programs. So that was the methodology of how we would do it, and this is what we actually do, which we link ourselves to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And that there are two key things, which is economic capital and environmental integrity. Environmental integrity is what I think that what Tata Communications is talking about in terms of regeneration. But they are sort of linked together with cross-cutting themes, because only when we start looking at equity, reduced inequality, partnerships, and enterprise, sustainable social enterprise models, that is when we are able to achieve our goals on sustainable development. And for us, the enablers have always been how do we build capacities, have better health and nutrition, education, clean water, which are enablers to the two things that we basically do, which is build economic capital and ensure environmental integrity. So between the vision, the guidelines, and the framework is how all of our CSR has been sort of put together into one coherent sort of a strategy. This is just to let you know what we are doing. We have centers of excellences, we have social enterprises, we have flagship programs, and need-based, very plant-specific programs, manufacturing plant-specific programs, which start and end after a certain time, and the embedded social perspective in business. How do we look at CSR in value chain? How are we doing rural immersion of our employees, our GETs? How are the employees volunteering in what we do? and communication and partnerships, which I've already talked about. So this is like, this is putting all what I mentioned earlier into the various programs that are coming here. I'm not going to talk about all the programs, but I'm going to definitely touch on a few. Maybe because they're also my favorite, but they're also very innovative. And they have changed the way we looked at doing CSR. You must have already heard of Okai. We call them magical hands, mystic colors. Basically, we target women and women artisans. It started off like a small livelihood intervention in the neighborhood, and but it aims to promote self-reliance and empowerment of women across the country. It has grown from strength to strength. So if I move to the next slide, you can have a quick look at what Okai is all about. I just have a few slides. Okai has now become like a handicraft. It's a handicraft brand which talks about women empowerment, and we have a very important theme which talks about working women for working women. And during the pandemic, it continued to generate employment and livelihood for artisans across the country. This year, we made masks, we made diyas, we got all the artisans on board. And while everyone was struggling, Okai actually almost doubled what it did as business last year, reaching about 10 crores of sales. Huge following on social media. We have 50,000 online customers, 180,000 Instagram followers, and uh, and, uh, and everybody who participates in Okai is very happy to do that. It is linked to 27,000 artisans who are now retailing their products on Okai. Like I mentioned, it started off like a small handicrafts promotion program, livelihood in the neighborhood of Mithapur. And if you would, just on the tip of Gujarat out there, but by looking at just looking at the sustainability, scalability, replicability of the program, and the need where women artisans were struggling across the country, we converted it into a marketplace, helping many artisans on board and sell their products through Okai. Just a quick look at innovation and reimagination at Okai. Online design reviews because of the pandemic, online training of our partners and our artisans, showing them how to make the product of that quality. Teaching them how to take photographs, how to upload online and take this forward. So this was a huge learning, and so sort of reimagining of what Okai can do. And when we started off at the beginning of the pandemic, we had 4,000 artisans, and that 1 year it just scaled up to 27,000 artisans who were retailing on Okai. This is the flagship store that we put up, just started, and hopefully it will do well, and all the artisans would benefit out of this store. This is at Kalagoda. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was on Encourage, which is Encourage Social Enterprise Foundation. We set up a social enterprise as a subsidiary to Tata Chemicals, looking at bottom of the pyramid, the needs: clean drinking water, livelihood, clean energy, nutrition, not as a CSR program, but more as a business enterprise. And if you quickly go to the next slide, you'll see that it is an inclusive and a shared value business model. The diagram there kind of explains, that Encourage identifies, design, develop products and services for both the community and the market. it looks at underserved communities. It sources products for them. It does training, development of these people, and leveraging the partnership. It also sells products to these people so that their needs are fulfilled, like clean drinking water is made available, or better nutrition for their cattle, or better nutrition for themselves. So all kinds of needs that the communities have can be addressed through this process. In turn, like I said, the sourcing of products and services is done from the community, which is then taken to the marketplace. And it is a whole holistic ecosystem kind of a model that works through. And these are the kind of products that encourages come up with some of the brands that it has set up for itself. Complete social enterprise, everything is sourced from the communities, self-help groups. They are trained to ensure that they meet FSSAI requirements, the quality requirements. That's the whole concept. How can you up the skills of community so that they can take it forward? Coming to the topic which Pallavi mentioned, which is conserving and strengthening the resource base, there are two programs basically that fall in that category. One is what we call Jaldan, which is an integrated watershed development program, clearly linked with our sustainability goals. At Tata Chemicals, we are looking at how do we become water positive. How do we ensure that what we do is we are able to recharge and regenerate water which we use for our production. And many of our programs which promote water harvesting, conservation, sustainable use of water, uh, and and promote net water neutrality for all our operations. So we are looking at all our operations. We are saying how much water are you using. Minimum of that is what we would like to replenish, work with the communities, and take it forward. Just quickly look at the next slide, which talks about mainly four things. How do we harvest and conserve rainwater? How do we sustainably manage that resource so that it is not just because you've got water doesn't mean then now you can do flood irrigation. And how do you manage that resource so that the land is such so that it uses less water, the water usage is managed through different technologies, and overall it promotes this whole net water neutrality. There is availability of safe drinking water, but the most important aspect of designing this kind of a program is how do you have a sustainable institution building where there's a farmer producer organization or a watershed management committee or a drinking water pani samiti, and these are the organizations which manage and run and own all the resources that are made on the ground. So it's not as though the Tatas have come and done this and gone and they have no partnership at all. But this is something that we ensure that proper institutions are built so that when we leave, and we have left many of these programs by, we have these ceremonies of lokarpan, and then we leave the project and hand it over to the communities. Just look at the next slide, just giving you it just gives you an idea of what has been the impact that 450 million cubic foot of water harvested has happened. Water is available for water. Salinity ingress through innovative structures is managed out there. You can see the sea on one side and the water harvesting structure on the other side, pipe water supply, and many partners who are there. So very critical impact, and very, very beneficial to the communities because, like I mentioned, water is a shared resource, and this sort of ensures that we have net water neutrality. Coming to the main aspect of regeneration, looking at conserving and strengthening the resource base. I've talked about water, and part of underwater there is land and water management together. But the other element is all on biodiversity conservation. Tata Chemicals has been in this whole space of biodiversity conservation since the early 2000s. maybe even slightly before that, because we were all volunteering and taking children out to look at nature camps and eco clubs and all of that, much before the but a more formal approach started around the year 2000, and which has now culminated in making a center of excellence for coastal and marine biodiversity conservation called Seascapes. That's the logo and the overall. The overall objective is coastal and marine biodiversity conservation. I mean, we could have done all of biodiversity conservation, but we are next to the sea. We do Samudra Manthan and make all our products out of the Samudra Manthan, and which is the salt, the soda ash, and all of that. So coastal and marine is very, very important to us. Very closely linked to what our business is about, and it's a climate action partnership. So that we have the coastal communities are taken care of, and there is an outreach also and awareness that's happening. The whole concept of lead also plays out here. Just a quick look at the programs. There are the Dharti Corporan, the Save the Whale Shark, Coral Reef Regeneration, Mangrove Regeneration, Migratory Species, Bird Regeneration, Biodiversity Reserves, development of defunct salt pans as viable migratory coastal bird habitats. This is in Tamil Nadu. The management of Tata Chemicals salt works so that they remain a viable habitat for migratory birds at Meetapur, development of community managed coral reefs, training of community volunteers, community outreach and learning. All of this forms part of what Seascapes is doing. And it's an integrated environment initiative. So we have education in the neighborhood, eco clubs, natural resource management, enterprise development program, all in the middle, and the various conservation activities which are related to marine environment conservation around all of these that we've been doing. So it's an integrated approach. For each of them, there is a element of community livelihood and an element of conservation. So a very conscious decision that we've taken, that it's not pure conservation, that we'll keep the community out, we don't want them in, this is conservation, not that kind of an approach. But how do we actually work together with the communities, that they build their livelihoods and ensure that they benefit as well. So many of our programs have those elements already built into the work that we're doing, whether it's conservation of coral reefs and making of mangroves, where the nurseries are made by communities, the plantation is done by them, they earn out of it, they sell the nursery plants to others, thereby earning a livelihood out of that. So I thought I'll just do a deep dive, and I thought that we should do a deep dive on the whale shark conservation project. It's a very, very innovative program that showed us a development model that we hadn't earlier thought about. Just linking, emotionally arousing the community, linking culture and biodiversity conservation, and together to ensure that species is conserved, and getting science and scientists and everybody part of this whole effort put together. So let me just start off by saying the whale shark conservation project is one of the many social development and environmental conservation projects of Tata Chemicals I've already talked about, not as a philanthropic activity, but as a measured and planned CSR and corporate sustainability initiative. It is in our neighborhood. We have the Marine National Park out there. We are part of this whole environment, and this is how we looked at the program as well. That how can we do species conservation? Look at how do we coexist together, our business and conservation of a species. I'll give you an idea of what the project was about, and we started off by working at the coastal, range in the Gujarat coast, in the fishing towns where the whale shark was harvested, And and these were the hot spots where they were, it was a year when more than 200, 300 whale sharks were harvested, killed, in the early 2006, 2000s. And when we started the program, I think this was in 2005 or 6, this was still happening, and we really worked hard on, the campaign and then the scientific study. This is how you would see them, the harvesting of the whale shark, these beautiful animals. And you can see this is in our coast, on Dwarka coast. This photograph was taken by people at that time. So a one whale shark of medium dimension fetched about 50,000 to 1 lakh rupees. And like I mentioned, 600 to 1,200 whale sharks were massacred in the coast of Gujarat in the year 1999 and 2000. They were called barrel because barrel was used to hunt them down, and there were reports that whale shark pups were seen out here, and that whale sharks actually bred out here. This was later confirmed by the project when we were doing the scientific studies. We've got whale shark pups, which were got accidentally entangled in nets, and we now know that they are definitely breeding in our waters out here. Like in any business project, in this project also we set out a little goal for ourselves. We said we should popularize the gentle giant, we should ensure long-term survival, build state-level pride. So 3 simple goals were set up, and that's how the program started. And clear objectives. A child in a school should be able to know whale shark in near our coast. We should change the name from barrel to something else where people can connect emotionally with it. The coming of the whale shark should be celebrated. No killing should happen, and a functional ecotourism model should be in place. We are still working on the ecotourism model part, but most of the other things have sort of been achieved. Of course, there are many challenges. There is unsustainable commercial fisheries, low literacy levels, low focus on conservation education in schools and college. And Indians are not very good eco-tourists, especially when it comes to water. If you go to Goa, most people will, a lot of people come who just wet their feet. They don't go really into the water. But that is a challenge of setting up an ecotourism model out here. But the whole concept was getting the stakeholder together. This the ecosystem approach. Get everybody, have different what do you call, towns own the whale shark. Take a pledge, take an oath that I will save this whale shark. The photographs of all of this. Look at national and international coverage on what we are doing. How do we campaign? Just get the media element happening. And the whole concept that every child should know about the whale shark, and this was done through awareness and painting competitions. Every school got covered by volunteers. They would just go there, whether they were volunteers from the Coast Guard, they were volunteers from the community, they were employee volunteers would go and run these programs and show them about whale sharks, and have the children do learn about the whale sharks, do drawing. And we created calendars and first day covers and all of that with the work that these children did. Street plays, we made a whale shark inflatable, and you can see how people are connecting with that, and taking that, using that to connect and learn about the whale shark. And here are photographs of rallies and awareness rallies that happened across all the towns, which were the hotspots. And we took the name Vali. I didn't mention about this. We actually worked on changing the name of barrel to another name, and we came up with a word called Vali. Vali means daughter, my favorite daughter, and did the whole street play on that Vali, which focused on saving the whale shark. taking the value to hearts and minds of people. And then we moved on, so from to a very successful campaign. So people started, knowing the whale shark, and there was the street play that I talked about, which was basically about the whale shark coming to our, our waters to breed. It's like, a woman coming home to her mica to give birth to her baby, and to protect her, and all the fishermen kind of empathize with that, and they work towards, saving the whale shark. From the campaign, we moved towards science, and that's the most important thing. That we understood the conservation effort, but you really needed to do the on-ground work of understanding the monitoring, the parameters, the habitat. How do you do rescue and release? How do you do photo documentation? How do you understand the migratory patterns, and do genetic studies? And this got institutionalized with the state agencies. So the government of Gujarat, our partner Wildlife Trust of India, and all of us came together to do these studies out here. And it's a quick look at, the satellite tags that we had put in, and we could see the migratory path of the tagged whale sharks. And we saw them go. The longest tag was for 200 days, where the whale shark went almost to Somalia and came back, and we have that information, added to the world's knowledge on the whale shark. And these were the wins. Till date, about 803 whale sharks have been rescued. Means the fishermen have cut the nets and rescued them. Other than Gujarat, now Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala, Karnataka, they're all taking up the whole campaign about saving the whale shark, and international organizations have also, sort of accepted this as a very, very important and a lovely campaign, and the scientific study all combined together. We don't see these anymore. No more whale shark, dead on the beaches of Gujarat, and so that's definitely a plus. And of course, we won many awards and accolades, starting from the Green Governance Award, and whale shark in the recent COP13, which was on Convention of Migratory Species. The world over people had come to Ahmedabad for the COP13, and we were there with our inflatable and our site, the only corporate to be there, to be showcased and to be known. And we've added significant knowledge about and database about the whale sharks by the research that we've done during the program. And the ultimate win, I can say, is Wali has a huge fan following. And every time the whale shark inflatable comes, and we have children and others all coming to greet and meet and greet it, and and pledge that they will continue to look after the beautiful fish. So I'm just going to come back to why CSR and the whole concept of what we do. And even if you take a project which may not have direct link with Tata Chemicals in a sense, but the fact that we did the program has got us, the government of Gujarat, the Ministry of Environment and Forest, have all been become our partners in a way, and have helped us. It has definitely helped us in our business. The whole reputation building, the whole ESG rating, and all those concepts, and all of that is definitely built up. So we believe that CSR actually makes business sense, as it enhances corporate image, helps attract the best employees. People want to work with us. I mean, everybody talks about Tata Chemicals has good, and sustainability and environment programs. They want to participate. And our customers, we find that the Unilevers of the world are very pleased to buy our products, because then they can also showcase that in their value chain they have companies who are responsible and taking it forward. And like I mentioned, more seriously by the government, admin and regulatory authorities, they reach out to us, when they need support or thing, and they support us when we need any help or support from them. So it's it helps the organization grow. The next slide is, so if it makes business sense, why not do it innovatively to make it much more effective? How do you involve people? How do you think out of the box? How do you marry culture and people's customs into development? How do you look at different ways of doing making different models, like different business models, to reach out to more people and be much more effective? This is the last slide. Helps us on delivering on the UN Sustainable Development Goals.
Thank you so much, Alka. From art, from Okai, we moved to wildlife conservation. So quite a huge range of
Yeah.
topics and concepts you covered. Alka, thank you so much for joining us today on our CSR Reimagined journey.